Hello, and welcome to the next series on the channel, which is in NHL 19 Jersey Quest franchise mode with the Ottawa Senators. The jersey of focus is the NHL 100 Classic jersey, which the Senators wore in the previous season, the 2017-18 season, and the player of focus, if I go here and pull up the lines, is, to keep that off, is Jean-Gabriel Pageau here. And I apologize, they kind of noticed a decent time gap between the end of the last series and the start of this one. There were a couple people who might have seen eagle-eyed, people who saw some of the video that I'd uploaded, which was basically the same kind of series, but in NHL 18, because, you know, the NHL 100 Classic game was in the 2017-18 season, and me being naive and not thorough, assumed that because the jersey came out like at the beginning of the 2017-18 season, that like with like the roster update by the end of the season, EA would have included that jersey in the game. So I had done like the initial, like the first season of that series, like, because as you know, like during this first season, how it works is I try to keep the record as kind of close as possible to the actual record of the team that season. So the Senators had really bad records, only had to play like a couple of games in October, and then they were like at or above where like they were that season for the rest of the season. So that like went really quick, and because like those games in October, I didn't think to try and use like the jersey because that game was in like December that year. So my whole idea was like, oh, let's use the home jersey at home games, away jersey at away games that I play, until that like the date of the NHL 100 Classic game. And after that, I would use the NHL 100 Classic jersey during home games, but that never materialized, so I never noticed until the second season when I went to play a game at the beginning of the season against the Canadians, who were like our Jersey Quest rivals. That's who the Senators played in that outdoor game. That EA Sports never put in NHL 18, as far as I can tell, from checking it in like the franchise mode, from me seeing it there, and then checking like Play Now as well with like the most recent roster update to the game downloaded, because that's the only one you can have at this point because they shut down the servers. Is they never put in any of the outdoor game jerseys from the 2017-18 season into the game, like, at all. So I checked the Senators, I checked the Capitals, I checked the Sabres, so that's like one team from each of the three outdoor games that were that season. Same series, the Winter Classic, and the NHL 100 Classic, and none of them had the jersey. The only jerseys that were in there that were Adidas era were the home and away for every team. So me being stupid and naive and whatever, I was like, alright, I'll just do the franchise mode in NHL 19, and I was like, oh, that should be easy enough. I had it with the Games of Gold, like when it was like Games of Gold was a thing like many years ago, and I like had claimed it or whatever, so I thought I owned the game, right? So I could just play it and digitally download it and play it. But because I guess nowadays Xbox Live Gold or whatever, like to play online games isn't a thing anymore, it's now like baked into Game Pass, and I no longer have a Game Pass sub that you can't access like any of your like games with gold that you like claimed over the years unless you have an active Game Pass sub. So then I was like, alright, that kind of sucks. So I was going to use NHL 20, but Jean-Gabriel Pageau was traded from the Senators to the Islanders during the 2019-20 season, so he wouldn't be on the Senators roster either in that game. So that kind of like ruined that. So I was like, alright, what's cheaper? Renewing getting like a 1 month Game Pass sub to just like do the series, which shouldn't take me more than a month to finish, or just buying like a copy of the game, a physical copy of the game on like eBay or something. And the answer was it was cheaper to buy a brand new in-box, completely sealed copy of the game, which I'm holding in my hands right now, for like $5. I think it was like $5 with like tax and shipping included for like on eBay to buy the brand new copy of the game, then to get a 1 month Game Pass sub. So I like order it and wait a couple of days for it to come after shipping. It did ship pretty quickly, to be honest. I ordered it like on a Thursday. It's like a Tuesday. No, this is a Monday. Wow. It's a Monday. And it's here. And I'm playing the games, you can see. So that's why we were doing the series in NHL 19. There's such a gap between the start of this series and then the end of the last series. But I apologize for that. Anyone who's watching that series and maybe saw like the episode or two that got uploaded before I realized my mistake and had to like delete those videos because there's no point in continuing that series. But it's also kind of a good thing because this game is like, I think when they like updated the scouting system to what it is now. Yeah, so this is the first game where they updated the scouting system to what it is now. NHL 18, it was still like the really bad, like where you basically had like a scout and you would like pick a region and be like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like forward, defenseman, goalies or whatever, which is like really bad. So this is like the much better, more like kind of in-depth modern system, which I like a lot. So because the Senators, like when I was kind of setting this up, this franchise mode up, they're literally the worst team in the game based on like the game's overall rating for each team. They're like an 82, I think, which is the worst in the game. And like the only team that's even close, like the Senators, not the Senators, the Red Wings are like an 83. So we are playing as like the worst team in the league, which is a rebuilder. 2018-19 season was when, in the offseason, they traded away Erik Karlsson, and then during the season they traded away Matt Duchene and Mark Stone. That's why I was kind of hoping to be able to do it in NHL 18, because they would have all those good players and it would make rebuilding faster because they don't have to trade them away because they're not going to be like angry about other players and whatnot, and whatever like the reasons they were traded in the first place. So we're playing the 19-19 season without any of those players, which is why the roster sucks. But their record that year was 29, 47, and 6, which is like abysmal. Yeah, they finished last in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, they were pretty god-awful. So it should, this first season should go quickly, but that's kind of, sorry, I'm like a little over the place, but so kind of this is just the introduction episode, so that's kind of explaining why like there's a delay and whatnot. So Jersey Quest format, you guys probably kind of know how it works, but it's basically we're gonna try to build this team into a contender, win the Stanley Cup once with Jean-Gabriel Pageau and the jersey in question, which I probably should have checked if it's like in the game, but I'm gonna assume it's in the game because this is like a season afterwards, and if it's not, I'm just a giant idiot and it is what it is. But we're gonna try to win the cup with the Senators and Jean-Gabriel Pageau. Actually, let me check. Is Brady Tkachuk in this? Was he drafted? Yes, he is. Okay, he doesn't have a picture or anything, but thank God. All right, we do have Brady Tkachuk because he's like one of my favorite players. As you can probably tell why, Brady Tkachuk. Jersey Quest Brady, my name is Brady. So that's kind of why he's one of my favorite players. He's just like a funny guy, it seems like, from like the social media and whatnot. He's a really good player as well. So glad he's in this game, which is like one big plus from this compared to NHL, NHL 18. And also we have another player who I'm kind of happy with that's on the roster here. So basically 3 players that I'm probably never going to get rid of no matter what are obviously Jean-Gabriel Pageau here. He's a Jersey Quest player, so he can't leave. If he leaves, series ends. Brady Tkachuk, one of my favorite players, and he does become the Senators captain, but I won't be naming Pageau the captain for this series because if he hadn't gotten traded from the Sens to the Islanders, I imagine he probably would have become their captain at some point. And then Anthony Duclair just joined the Islanders this offseason, and he seems to be from the limited preseason action that he's had with Barzal and Horvat. They are cooking at the moment. I'm super hyped for the start of the regular season to see like how they do over full 82 games together. But because he's also currently an Islander, I will be keeping him around. So top line probably at this point in the series is probably going to be, so I'm sorry Chris Tierney, but yeah, you're kind of bummed that I want Pageau to kind of bump up an overall. So the top line for most of the series, and probably whatever, these 3 guys are permanently definitely on the team. But most of the rest of this roster is like bad, as the roster is bad. Colin White, he should hopefully turn out better than he has in real life. Bobby Ryan, he's kind of bummed, but we'll probably keep him until his overall starts to decline, trying to like dump his contract somewhere. He'll be like most of these players are not going to be like here for much longer. Like I'd probably go like this. No, they're both his potential top 6 medium, so I'd probably go like this. I'm kind of just doing my lines here on the fly. Yeah, but the Sens roster not great. Marian Gaborik, I'm going to probably try and trade immediately because there is no LTIR in this game, and I am not sitting with a 78 overall player at 36 years of age with a $5.3 million salary on the books. So I'm probably going to try and dump him off as soon as possible. On defensive end, roster not that great either, but we do have a couple of players to build around. We got Thomas Chabot here, who's pretty solid. Dylan DeMello, not bad either. Cody Ceci, the game likes a lot, so we have a decent defensive core here to build around. Olanin, he's kind of something interesting. Borwecki kind of meh. Ben Harper, like, could turn out into something. So we have like a decent core of players here. So, but we are going to be like rebuilding for this first year or two. And it's also kind of nice because there is no coaching and stuff. There's a little more freedom in how I construct the lineup and whatnot. But we do have a decent core to build around. Goalies, we have Craig Anderson here, and then Anders Nilsson, who's like, all right, I guess. Oh, he was an Islanders draft pick, so he might be staying around too. Craig Anderson, though, he is decent, but I probably will try and trade him for a different goalie, or like keep him for this season, flip him at the NHL draft or the start of free agency to bring in a new goalie, because my kind of like thinking frame of mind when it comes to these like NHL games is these are video games, it's not like real life, and EA like has programs and whatever like kind of determine like players only really growing overall from like under up until they turn 27, and then they're kind of just like that's kind of it, they are what they are. And then like once players hit like 35 or above, they really start to decline most of the time. So like the roster's going to be mostly like under like 30s and under, and like max out at 35. So people who like are 35 or above, like at the start of a season. So like Craig Anderson here, and then we go to defensemen. Everyone here is pretty young, so none of them really have to worry. But forwards, like as I was kind of saying, Marian Gaborik, he's going to be out of here. Like those are the two major players from this. Everyone else is kind of young enough where it's not going to matter. But so Marian Gaborik and Craig Anderson, the only two players who were 35 or above at the start of the season. Here, excuse me. So I'm going to be trying to move them out, and in general, that's how it's going to kind of work. Is we'll have some veteran players like ages 30 to like 34-ish, but like 35 or above, I'm going to move them out. So we are going to, that's probably the only major trades and stuff I do this season is getting rid of the two of them. But this is going to be a rebuilding season, so expect the season recap to be like at the end of the season to be a lot shorter than this video is even, because like we're going to suck and we're probably going to miss the playoffs and whatnot. But we are going to be a rebuilder, and we're going to try and win the cup here at Shabbat and the Senators, and hopefully they haven't made the playoffs like at all since they last made the playoffs, which was like the 2017 playoffs. So including like the 2017-18 season, they've missed like, I can't even, like, let me count, 7 playoffs 7 years in a row. So hopefully we can do better than that and not miss the playoffs for like the next 5 years, and like turn them into turn this rebuild around a lot faster. But that's kind of it for this intro video. So the next video, as I kind of said 2 seconds ago, I'll reiterate again, is that the next episode is going to be the recap the end of this 2018-19 season. Very likely it's going to be during like the early days of the free agency period, after I've kind of made my signings and whatnot, and kind of I'll go over how the season went, and like their free agent signings and whatnot. In the unlikely event we somehow win the Stanley Cup, it'll be like immediately after that. So the next episode will be the recap of the 2018-19 season. So thank you to everyone who watched this video, and who, again, apologies for the big kind of gap of time, relatively speaking, between the end of the last series and the start of this series. But thank you for your patience for anyone who is actually looking forward to this potentially. But again, thank you for watching. Hopefully, you'll consider watching the next video as well.